So the next question I want to ask is, how can these changes be limited to certain sections of the body? How is that achieved? And this is by a process that I don't think we could have anticipated. There was no real sort of natural precursor to thinking this way, except to really study the biology in real depth. And this is a process called compartmentation. Now, in the embryo, as I will talk about multicellular animals, there's a pre-established map, not completely pre-established from the egg, but very early on, that divides the embryo into spatial domains. And each domain behaves differently in development and the adult. So this domain, it's like a map of the world, which has all these countries, and so you see it on the map, and one says it's Brazil, and another says it's Uruguay, and another says it's China, and they're there, and they don't really make any sense. You know, they don't correspond necessarily to geography or anything, but they do divide the world up so well that by knowing where something is in terms of that country, you can place it on the globe. So there's a map that's generated early in development that has every place in the embryo, gives every place in the embryo an address. So compartments can be visualized early in the embryo. This is a Drosophila embryo, and these are compartments that are they go from the back to the front of the embryo, and they're spaced from the anterior to the posterior end of the embryo. And the domains in the fly embryo, which is where this was discovered, are these anterior-posterior vertical lines, but they're also dorsal-ventral lines, and so their flies have about 100 such compartments. Vertebrates have about 200 compartments. These happen rather early in development. And each compartment is specified by a set of transcription factors and secreted signaling molecules. So it's not that each compartment has a unique transcription factor, it's the set that is different from the next compartment. And each compartment, the developing spine, for example, which is the vertebrate example, tells bones to be different. So for example, if we look at the bones in the neck, the cervical vertebrae, they take a different shape than the bones in the thorax, which have ribs, or the lumbar vertebrae in the lower back. And if you were to take early on in development some of the cells from the thorax and graft them into the cervix, they would make ribs in your neck. So the cells are told early in development that if you develop in this area, you will have a certain kind of shape. You will respond to the same signals differently. And it's this compartmentation which is preserved through 500 million years of evolution. What happens underneath may change, but the identity of those compartments remains. So, it may be that, for example, you'll have fewer ribs, or in that thoracic compartment. That may be the rules for different species. But what a cell does in that compartment is specified by this early map. And so that's what distinguishes the different local behaviors and allows evolution to take place without complicating evolution somewhere else. So you can vary your digits from, as I say, from almost the digits of a whale to the digits of a human hand to the digits of a bird, because that region of the embryo is told to deal differently with exactly the same information as another region of the embryo.